No one expected them to walk away. Humans were loud, curious, and full of questions. In every council session, they challenged the oldest laws. They asked why things were the way they were, why war was constant, and why peace always had a price. Then 50 years ago, they vanished. There were no warnings, no threats, no final messages. One by one, their colonies went quiet. Their trade stations shut down. Their embassies emptied. Their ships disappeared from star lanes. In the Great Galactic Council, the silence was first met with confusion. Then it turned into laughter. High Chancellor Drevik had stood in the central chamber, raising his arms before the council seats filled with beings of every shape and form. "Let us not waste thought on a species that could not endure," he declared. Humans were aflame, bright but brief. The council clapped. They moved on. But not everyone forgot. Commander Lyra Vale remembered Earth. She had once walked the gardens of New Geneva and watched children play near orbiting defense rings. She had spoken with human scientists who thought faster than any council AI. She remembered how they looked at the stars, not with fear, but with hunger. Now 50 years later, something strange was happening. It started with a signal. A routine patrol near the edges of what was once human territory missed its check-in. Then a second ship vanished. Then a third. The council claimed it was cosmic storms. A few blamed pirates or black hole flares. But Lyra knew better. She studied the reports, the flight paths, and the silence that followed each disappearance. It wasn't random. Inside the council's intelligence wing, she stood alone before a three-dimensional map. Red blinking points marked the last known locations of the missing vessels, all near the same edge of space, all near the human border. She tapped her wrist and recorded a message. Commander's log. Unusual pattern in lost ship reports. 6 disappearances in 7 cycles. Council dismisses it, but I don't believe in coincidences. I believe they're watching us. Waiting. A chime echoed through the room. Council aide Tren entered, his thin figure gliding across the floor. His 3 eyes blinked in an odd rhythm. "The Chancellor will see you," he said. Lyra followed him into the council chamber. The room was huge and bright, walls lined with glowing stars and floating seats. In the center sat Drevik, towering and cold, his blue scales shining under the light. "Commander Vale," he said, voice filled with impatience. "Explain why you asked for this session." She stood straight. 6 ships have gone missing, all near former human space. I believe there is a connection. Murmurs spread across the chamber. A few counselors rolled their eyes. Others leaned forward. Drevik narrowed his gaze. "Are you suggesting humans are involved?" "I believe they never truly disappeared," Lyra said. "They walked away from the council, but they didn't stop moving forward. We just stopped seeing them." Drevik chuckled. "And now you think ghosts of Earth are dragging ships into the void?" "No," she said calmly. "I think they've been building, preparing, watching us." The silence in the room was heavier than before. Counselor Fex, a jelly-like being from the Eastern Nebula, hissed, "We would have seen signs." "No race hides growth that long," Lyra replied. "Not unless they wanted to. Not unless they knew how." Drevik stood. "Enough. If you're so certain, then go. You may investigate, but you'll take no fleet, no escort. Just one ship. You want answers. Go find them." It was a dismissal, an insult wrapped in permission. But Lyra didn't care. She bowed once and turned. Outside, as she prepared for launch, she loaded only the basics: food, scans, a sidearm, and a single photo of Earth from orbit. Green and blue, peaceful, forgotten. Her ship, the Spearlight, was small and fast, not made for war, not made for rescue. It was made for reaching places others feared to go. As the docking clamps released and the stars opened in front of her, she whispered, "If you're out there, show me." Then she flew into the silence where humans had once lived, and where something now waited. The stars stretched endlessly around her ship, cold, silent, and watching. Commander Lyra Vale sat at the front of the spurlight, her eyes fixed on the blackness ahead. She had passed the last marked system of Council space hours ago. From here on, maps grew vague. Only a few red markers blinked weakly on her display. Lost ships, forgotten probes, dead beacons. She took a deep breath and activated the log. Commander's log, Day 1 past Council boundary. No contacts, no signals, no debris, just silence. She leaned back, letting the hum of the ship settle her nerves. The silence wasn't empty, it was dense, like something waited in the dark. She checked the nav again. She was heading toward the outer edges of former human space, the border that hadn't been crossed in 5 decades. Suddenly, her console beeped. Lyra leaned forward. A faint signal blinked on her screen. It was weak, almost lost in the noise, but it repeated every few seconds. Origin, she asked. The ship's AI responded. Unclear. Signal appears to be a modified Earth frequency, dated 49 years ago. Lyra's heart skipped. Someone, or something, was still transmitting. She adjusted course and pushed the ship toward the signal. Minutes passed, then hours. The signal grew stronger, still old, still looping, but undeniably human. Then just beyond a silent asteroid field, she saw it. A Council scout ship, drifting, dark, no power, no movement. Lyra activated the scan. Life signs, none detected, the AI replied. Damage minimal, no external weapons fire, no escape pods launched. She frowned. Then what happened? Her ship moved closer. The scout's hull was clean, no battle scars, but the airlocks were sealed shut, locked from the inside. She sent a probe to dock and enter. Inside, the footage came through slowly. The corridors were empty. The lights were off. No bodies. No signs of struggle. Just silence. Then something strange. Near the main console, a message had been carved into the wall with a sharp tool. We were warned. We didn't listen. Lyra stared at it, her fingers tightening on the controls. Who warned them? She whispered. She copied the data, retrieved the flight logs, and recalled the probe. As her ship backed away, her sensors picked up another signal. This one different, new, and close. Source, she asked quickly. The AI replied. Unknown. Signal strength rising. Direction, behind us. Lyra turned the ship and froze. A black vessel hovered behind her. No lights, no markings. Smooth, sharp, and silent. It wasn't Council, it wasn't pirate, it was human. Lyra's mouth went dry. The ship didn't fire, didn't hail, it simply turned, and vanished into a ripple of space, disappearing without a trace. Log that, she whispered. Done, the AI replied. She sat still for a long moment. Then she spoke again. Commander's log. I found one of our missing ships. Empty, undamaged. Something is out here, watching, waiting, and they're not hiding anymore. She looked once more at the dark stretch of space ahead. This isn't a mystery, she said softly. It's a message. Then she set course for the next signal, deeper into the shadows, deeper into what used to be Earth's territory. Lyra's ship, Spurlight, moved slowly through the forgotten edge of human space. The stars here were dimmer. The space quieter, no traffic, no signals, just cold vacuum and long-dead satellites drifting like tombstones. She had followed the second signal for 3 hours. It led her to a planet called Idolon 6, an old human science colony, once known for weather control experiments. According to Council records, it was abandoned shortly after Earth withdrew. But as she approached the planet, something felt wrong. Atmosphere scan, she asked. The AI responded. Stable, oxygen levels within human norms. No radiation, no major surface damage. That was unusual. Most abandoned colonies fell apart over time. Machines broke down. Nature took over. But this one looked untouched. Lyra landed on the old platform outside the central dome. The hangar bay doors were open. The lights were still functional. As she stepped out in her suit, she noticed something strange. The place wasn't dusty. The floors were clean. The lights were bright, as if someone had been maintaining it all these years. She entered the main dome slowly, weapon drawn. Everything inside looked new. Desks were polished. Screens were still active, showing data logs and system checks. A soft hum filled the air from machines running in the background. No signs of decay, she whispered. No power loss. No signs of abandonment. She moved deeper into the facility. Rooms were locked. Doors responded to her presence as if she was expected. She passed living quarters with beds made and lights on. Kitchens stocked with food. Not fresh, but not spoiled either. It was eerie. She reached the main lab. Inside, a huge screen flickered to life. A human face appeared. An old recording. "Welcome back, observer," the voice said. It was calm, male, and unmistakably human. Lyra froze. "We knew someone would come looking one day," the voice continued. "If you're seeing this, it means the council has finally started to notice." Lyra stared at the image. The man wore a black uniform with no markings. Behind him, the stars twinkled through a transparent wall. "We didn't leave because we were afraid," he said. "We left because we saw where the galaxy was heading. Endless war, pride, and control. We walked away to build something better. Not to rule, not to destroy, but to survive." The message ended. Silence returned. Lyra whispered to herself, "This place was never abandoned." She pulled the logs and checked the system's recent activity. Maintenance drones had been running non-stop for 40 years. Updates were made just weeks ago. Then she found something else. A star map. One corner glowed with a blinking dot marked in red. Coordinates unknown to the council. No labels, no names. But next to it were 3 words. "Return point active." Lyra took a deep breath. That was her next destination. Before leaving, she walked outside the dome and stood under the sky. The stars above felt closer here, like they were watching her too. Back in the ship, she recorded another log. Commander's log. Idolon 6 is not abandoned. It's alive, maintained, monitored. I believe the humans are using these colonies as quiet stations, outposts hidden in plain sight. She paused, then added, "I think they want me to find them." As spearlight lifted from the surface, the station lights dimmed behind her, as if saying goodbye, or maybe, as if they had done their part. She set her course to the new coordinates. Whatever waited at the return point, she knew it would change everything. The journey to the return point took 16 hours through deep space. The stars here looked sharper, colder. The void felt heavy, like it was holding its breath. Commander Lyra Vale sat quietly in her seat, reviewing everything she had seen: an abandoned ship with no damage, a living colony with no people, a message that welcomed her by name. Nothing made sense, and yet all of it felt connected. She arrived at the coordinates. There was nothing on the map. No planets, no stations, just empty space. "Are we at the right position?" she asked. The AI confirmed. Coordinates match exactly. Lyra frowned. Scan for energy signatures. Anything. Detecting an anomaly. Spatial distortion. Source 1,000 meters ahead. Lyra looked out the front view. At first she saw only stars. Then something shimmered, like a ripple in water, a transparent wave of space, bending slightly, pulsing with quiet energy. "A cloaked structure?" she asked. "No structure detected. But something is there." Without hesitation, she guided Sparelight toward the ripple. As she crossed the edge of the distortion, everything changed. Stars vanished. The cockpit went dark. Then the space outside lit up, not with stars, but with lights. Hundreds of them. Stations, ships, structures floating in perfect formation. All sleek, black, and silent. She had entered a hidden system. A moment later, her ship stopped moving. Not by her command. "Control override detected," the AI said. Lyra's hands hovered over the controls. But the ship wasn't crashing, it was being guided. Then the comm screen blinked. A symbol appeared. A white circle with a single vertical line through it. Human design, but not used in any known era. A calm voice followed. "Welcome, Commander Vale. We have been expecting you." Lyra's heart pounded. "Who are you?" "We are the continuum. The future humanity chose." The ship turned toward a large station in the center of the formation. It looked like a black pearl, with glowing lines running along its surface. It was beautiful. Vale then. Terrifying. Beyond anything the council had. You were not sent here to stop us, the voice said. You were sent to witness. The Sparelight docked gently at the station. The ramp lowered. Lyra stepped out. Inside, everything was quiet. No guards, no weapons. Just long corridors made of smooth metal and soft lights. A man stood at the end of the hall. Human. He wore the same black uniform from the Idolon 6 message, clean-shaven, calm eyes, not young, not old. You're real, Lyra said. He nodded. And so are you. They walked side by side through the hall. Why hide all this? She asked. Because the galaxy was not ready, he said. And maybe still isn't. They entered a massive chamber. A map of the galaxy floated in the air. Dots marked council space, trade routes, abandoned sectors. One region, Earth's space, was covered in a dark field. We stepped away from the council because peace cannot be forced through politics, the man explained. We didn't want to conquer. We wanted to evolve. And now? Lyra asked. He looked at her. Now we're watching. Listening. Waiting. For what? For the moment they try to control us again. Lyra stood silently. She realized the truth. Humanity hadn't vanished. They had grown quietly, far beyond what anyone imagined. And they had built something the council could never match. A civilization in the shadows. Before she left, the man handed her a single data crystal. Give this to your council, he said. Let them decide what comes next. Back on her ship, Lyra took one last look at the hidden system. As she passed through the distortion again, the stars returned. But the weight in her chest stayed. Commander's log, she said. I've seen what lies beyond the silence. Humanity didn't disappear. They ascended. She set course for council space. The message she carried would shake the galaxy. Lyra's ship exited human space and entered the outer rim of council territory. The journey back felt heavier. She wasn't just returning with a report. She was returning with a warning. The data crystal she held in her hand pulsed faintly. Inside, it was everything she had seen. Proof of the hidden system, the ships, the station, and the human who had spoken to her. It was irrefutable. The Sparelight entered orbit around the council's central station. As she landed, her comms lit up. Commander Lyra Vale, you are ordered to report to the Grand Assembly Hall immediately. They were waiting for her. The chamber was packed. Every seat in the Galactic Council was filled. Ambassadors, military leaders, and diplomats whispered among themselves. Even Drevik, the High Chancellor, looked tense. Lyra stepped forward and placed the crystal on the central console. This, she said clearly, is the truth. Humans never disappeared. They stepped away, and what they've built is beyond anything we've imagined. A hologram flared to life. The image of the hidden system appeared. Dozens of sleek black ships, the human station, the galaxy map with Earth's new boundaries marked in deep red. Murmurs spread like fire. This must be fake, one ambassador shouted. It's impossible, said another. They were just a minor species. But Drevik said nothing. His eyes were locked on the human symbol displayed above the map. What do they want? He finally asked. They said nothing, Lyra replied. They only said, we chose peace. But we are ready. The chamber fell into a heavy silence. Then, as Lyra feared, the worst decision was made. Hours later, Drevik called for a military session. He claimed the humans posed a threat. He demanded action. Letting them operate in secrecy is dangerous, he declared. We must show strength. We must remind them who governs the stars. A council fleet was assembled. Fast, aggressive. Over 100 warships sent into human space. Lyra tried to stop it. This is a mistake, she warned. You're poking something you don't understand. But no one listened. The fleet crossed the human border. Within minutes, all contact was lost. No distress calls, no black boxes, no wreckage, just silence. Council command tried to re-establish communication. They pinged every channel, scanned every frequency. Nothing returned. Then it happened. Every screen, every projection unit, every station in the Council's vast domain went black. Then one sentence appeared. "We chose peace, but we are ready." Behind the words, a single image flickered, a shadow of a massive warship, its shape unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, floating above the ruins of the Council's lost fleet. No weapons fired, no threats made, just a message. The Council panicked. Drevik tried to regain control, yelling commands, calling for new fleets, demanding retaliation. But it was over. The Council was shaken to its core. Their arrogance, their pride had been broken in a matter of minutes. Lyra stood in the shadows of the chamber, watching Drevik fall silent. For the first time in his long life, he looked afraid. He turned to Lyra. "What do we do now?" he asked. She replied simply, "You listen." The Council chamber was quiet now. No shouting, no debates, no arrogant speeches, just stillness. High Chancellor Drevik sat slumped in his seat, his once confident voice reduced to silence. Around him, other Council members avoided eye contact. The message from humanity echoed in every mind. "We chose peace, but we are ready." The image of the vanished fleet remained etched in their memories. No survivors, no escape pods, just a quiet, controlled disappearance, without a single shot fired. The galaxy had never seen such power used so calmly. Lyra Vale stood before the Council once more. This time they listened. She spoke slowly, clearly. "They gave us a choice. They warned us. You refused to believe it. And now, the balance has shifted." Councillor Vec, a creature of smoke and light, asked, "Are they going to destroy us?" "No," Lyra said. "If they wanted that, we wouldn't be having this meeting." A new message appeared across every screen. "Live." This time, it was a human figure. The same man Lyra had met at the station. Calm, still, composed. "You now understand," he said. "We do not seek conquest. We do not want to rule, but we will not be ruled either." He looked directly into the camera. "There will be no negotiations, no alliances, only one truth. We will be left alone. Interfere again, and we will remove the need for warnings." The message ended, but something else followed. Across the skies of every major Council world, ships appeared, black, silent, massive. They didn't attack. They didn't move. They just hovered above capitals, above military bases, above the Council's strongest fortresses, watching, waiting. The Council called it the standstill. For 12 days the ships remained unmoving, a quiet reminder of what humanity had become. On the 13th day, they vanished, not with engines, not with lights. They simply folded into space, and were gone. And the galaxy changed. The Council held emergency elections. Drevik stepped down. New voices, quieter, humbler, took his place. A single request came from humanity. Lyra Vale would serve as the official link between them and the rest of the galaxy. She didn't become a ruler. She became a messenger. Years passed. The Council never tried to cross human space again. Trade resumed slowly, but only through automated ships. No human ambassadors ever returned. No human colonies ever reopened their doors. They remained watchers in the dark, far away, yet always close. A myth, a warning, a power no one dared test again. From her new post on the edge of known space, Lyra often looked out at the stars. She wondered what humanity was building next, what they were becoming, what they had already become. She didn't fear them, but she respected them in a way the Council never had, until it was almost too late. She tapped a final log entry. Peace was never weakness, it was a decision. And now, the galaxy understands why humans walked away. She smiled softly to herself.